Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Shall we begin this morning together by standing as we're able and singing together? Please join us.
Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. Welcome here to First Unitarian Church of Portland, those gathered here in person, those joining us online. So good to be with you on this beautiful fall morning. We're a multi-generational community that strives to nurture the individual as well as work together to build a just community. One quick note, if you drive a white Tesla and it's in the parking lot, your trunk was open and someone shut your trunk, but your car is not locked. So if that's you, 845 MPQ, you might want to check that out. And now let's greet one another as we gather here this morning in person and online. Pascal is going to be our chalice lighter today.
Universalists, we light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love. Our Opening words are by Barbara Wells. O spinner, weaver of our lives, your loom is love. May we who are gathered here be empowered by that love to weave new patterns of truth and justice into a web of life that is strong, beautiful, and everlasting. May it be so. Thank you for helping us feel a little closer to winter, even on this gorgeous fall day. We are thinking about winter in part today because we have a special invitation. Our pageant is part of one of the greatest stories ever told, and it has been told for 100 years here. And so I want to invite Rionne Morris to come forward, and I see she's on the screen at different ages as well. Here is Rionne with a very special invitation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rionne Morris, and I have the privilege and honor of being your new Christmas pageant director following Tara Johnson-Bettinger and Amy LaRosa. For those of you who might... For those of you who think I might be a little too young, you might be right. I am the youngest director this pageant has ever had. However, as I stand here in front of you all, I promise that I will lead this pageant with all of the grace, kindness, poise, and love that Tara and Amy did before me. Since this month's theme is stories, I thought I would share with you all my history of my time here at the church and how the pageant influenced me growing up. For me, the pageant was always the highlight of my year. Every year I would look forward to participating. The costumes, the music, the story, the community of all of us working together to bring the story of Christmas to life. Although when I was younger, I probably wasn't thinking about that last one. Everything about the pageant always seemed so magical to me. I have participated in this tradition for many years, and as I grew older, I realized just how much the pageant was such an important part of my childhood. Every year, when the time came to pick out my role for the pageant, I always wanted to be an angel. Never anything else, always an angel. I was every angel role, from a little heavenly host as a child to a lead angel as a teen, as you can see here on the screen. That picture from 2011, I was 9. Even as I got older, I always chose the same role because I wanted to be with the little angels. That was always my favorite part, which eventually led me to working in our nursery for the past 3.5 years with our youngest church members. In addition to working in the nursery, I've also been a dancer for the past 11 years. Dance is one of my passions, and it's something I'm very proud and excited to share with you all this year in the pageant, because for the first time ever, this year's pageant will feature a dance choreographed by yours truly. I have invited 4 of my friends who are dancers to participate in this piece, and they're very excited about it, as am I. With that being said, I would now like to extend the invitation to you and your children to participate in this year's pageant. After the service, you can stop by the nursery and see me and ask me any questions you might have about the pageant. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
So to the children of all ages, you might begin to think, what part would you like to have? How many folks here of any age have ever been an angel? Any angels? Who has ever been a camel? We have a very special role in this church. Yeah, and Rionne's, yes, and Rionne's siblings, I believe, too. Has anyone been Joseph or Mary or the wise ones? And we have children and adults have inhabited these roles. So, Rionne, you are not too young to lead in this church. We believe there are leaders of all ages, and whoever is thinking this, you are not too old to be in the pageant either. So, leaders and service of all ages. And I just want to say thank you to Rionne and thank you to all of you. Really, the church is the people. And I hope you took the time to read the testimonials about what our children are beginning to do with the $5 we gave away with the reverse offering as a kickoff to the campaign. And today I want to say thank you to all of the people who share so abundantly of their time and talent, their faith and their funding. And we have a very special announcement and update about the annual fund drive for 2026. We have passed $1 million. And I just want to share, I have been so moved. People have been coming up to me to say that they've doubled their pledge or they've gone up by 20%. Others have come up to me and said that they want to really support the church, but what they can do is maintain. And others have said that they had to decrease this year because of a change in circumstance. And others have come to me sharing they need a waiver. And you know what? That is how we get there. All of us being generous with one another, and it adds up so far to over $1 million. And before we get totally excited, that leaves $475,000 to go. So if you've never pledged before, I hope that you will give with a full heart. And obviously, if it's your first day or your first day back, be our guest. But together we create the church, and thank you for all that you do. Going with the theme of our pageant, what is one of the highlights of the Christmas services here on Christmas Eve? Any ideas? That's correct. Candle lighting, exactly. And I want the children of all ages to know that something that we do that is a tradition and a ritual in our congregation is that we light candles. On Christmas Eve and in the winter and on winter solstice, we light candles, a symbol of hope in a time of darkness, a symbol of light in a time where it may be difficult to find any. And on Sunday mornings, we light candles of sorrow and care and celebration, and they're in our gallery to the left and the right. But today, I've also placed them up there in the balcony and up here down here in the front. And so I want to invite all of us, first silently, we're going to light 3 together, and then I'll invite the children on the way to their classes to light a candle. Asher, would you help me? We'll light our first candle for celebration. How many people have birthdays in November? Good. And Asher is one. On your way out today, you can pick up a candle in honor of the spark you bring to life in the world. And they're out there in the narthex. You can pick them up on your way to class or when we leave the service today. Our second candle is a candle of care. And today we're going to light that for members and friends who are in the hospital. May they be surrounded by compassionate care. And one final candle for sorrow. And the third candle, how many people have lost a loved one this year, or maybe November is the anniversary of the loss of a beloved? How many are of those? That third candle represents the loves in our lives who are no longer with us, but whose light still burns brightly in our hearts. And now I invite our children on their way out, and the adults at any time during this service, you have 5 places to light candles of sorrow, care, and celebration this morning. And let us sing a blessing to our children as they move towards their classrooms.
Go
And will you join me now in a responsive reading? Let's rise in body and in spirit. Words of Stephen Schick. From the loneliness of troubled times, we come to discover that we are not alone. Into the dwelling place of togetherness, we come to collect remnants of hope. From fear that all is lost, we come to discover that will save us. Into the comfort of each other's arms, we come to feel the strength that has not yet vanished. From darkness, we come to wait until our eyes begin to see. Into the refuge of fading dreams, we come to remove illusions and focus new visions. From despair that walks alone, we come to travel together. Into the dwellings place of generations, we come to pledge allegiance to being peace and doing justice. Please be seated. We are an active church, and today is one of those days. I invite folks to join for social hour following the service. It will be immediately below this sanctuary in Fuller Hall. If you're new among us today, I'd like to invite you to a welcome circle. To my left, you'll see a sign over here in this gallery. We'd love to get to meet you and hear what brings you to the church and see what questions you have as you come into this congregation. This is the second Sunday of the month, which means it is a Super Sunday. After church, get a cup of soup and some sides after the service. This is a great way to meet others and to be nourished as we come here together. This is the last Sunday of our Alliance Green Sale. Order your holiday greens to be picked up or delivered in December. You can check out the church website or our weekly e-news. Following the service today, there will be a forum on housing options for seniors. You'll hear from a panel of fellow congregants about how they made housing choices in their retirement, whether to stay in your home, whether to live in an apartment, move into a continuing care retirement community. Come and learn and hear from others about their experience. That will be in our Buchanan Hall next door at noon. So grab some soup and then head for Buchanan. Beginning on this coming Wednesday evening, Reverend Allison and I will be offering a class on articulating your faith. This class will meet monthly, and it will through the end of the year, through June. It's a chance to reflect on our beliefs and values that we hold. You can sign up for the class through the front steps or through the church website. I hope you'll join us. This is going to be fun. And this winter, we're excited to be offering Our Whole Lives, or OWL, the UU program that fosters informed, responsible, and value-based decisions about sexual health and behavior. It is happening here this winter. You can get the details and sign up now for the adult class of OWL, as well as classes for 4th to 6th graders and 7th to 9th graders. Just follow the link in the front steps. We're about to open registration to the wider community, so get your registration in now and get your spot. So plenty going on here today. And now it's time for our offering. It's our practice each week to share our offering with an organization in concert with our own church mission. This month of November, we're sharing our plate with the Sanctuary Fund of the Interfaith Movement for Immigrant Justice. Interfaith Movement for Immigrant Justice, Emerge. Emerge is a long-time partner here at First Unitarian, and it's grounded in the teachings of diverse faith traditions that hold that every person deserves a safe place to live, food on the table, and the opportunity to move forward and to thrive. The Sanctuary Fund provides emergency financial support to newly arrived immigrant families and individuals facing the consequences of deportation. To give, if you're here in the sanctuary, our ushers will come through shortly, If you're online or if you're here, you can scan the QR code, and that will lead you to giving electronically, or you can press the Donate Now button on Boxcast. Especially in this season of giving, thank you for all that you give that makes the work and ministry of this congregation possible. We'll now gratefully receive our offering. We make space each week in our service to name the concerns of our community life together. The children did so earlier, and folks are lighting candles. We take this time now to name the concerns of our community life together. You can send concerns to parishconcerns@firstunitarianportland.org. And if you'd like to send a prayer intention to be held by our ministers and our lay ministers, send that to prayer@firstunitarianportland.org. And this morning, I want to note that a number of our congregants continue to be impacted by the government shutdown, especially with the loss of food benefits. We do have a congregant care fund here at the church, and we want to help people make it through this difficult time. Talk to me or one of our lay ministers or Reverend Allison, and we'll do our best to get you some support to help through this time. Our chancel flowers this morning are given by Cindy Comfort and Valerie Lyon, who are celebrating their 45th anniversary together. Blessings, Cindy and Val. And once again this morning we hold member Julie Grice. Julie was in OHS hospital for several days with an infection. She was able to go back home, but now has been back in the hospital for the last week. I spoke to Julie just this morning, and as is the case, Julie's spirits are bright, but she is going through a really difficult time. So let's hold her in our thoughts and prayers during this week. She hopes she can go home in the next couple days. Will you join me now in prayer? Spirit of life and of love, God of many names and no name, hear our prayers this day, those we speak and so many that we name in the silence of our hearts. May we begin, as always, in gratitude, Spirit, for the fact that we are alive, that others are with us on the journey, for this community that brings us together. May we find in this community a place to bring our sorrows, our fears, our hopes, and our yearnings. May we find a place here to tell our stories. May we find here a place to hear the stories of others. And in the telling, in our listening, may we find threads of commonality, threads of diversity, a realization that all of us are part of some much, much larger story. May those stories help us to know that we make this journey connected with others. In this place, may we know faith, may we know hope, and may we know love. Blessed be, and amen. Let's hold a silence now for a few moments together. Let us join together now and sing our doxology, Spirit of Life. Our reading today is Mistral's The Teller of Tales, translated from the Spanish by Ursula K. Le Guin. When I'm walking, everything on earth gets up and stops me and whispers to me, and what they tell me is their story. And the people walking on the road leave me their stories. I pick them up where they fell in cocoons of silken thread. Stories run through my body or sit purring in my lap. So many they take my breath away. Buzzing, boiling, humming, uncalled they come to me, and hold, they still won't leave me. The ones that come down through the trees weave and unweave themselves and knit me up and wind me round until the sea drives them away. But the sea that's always telling stories, the wearier I am, the more it tells me. The people who cut trees, the people who break stones, want stories before they go to sleep. Women looking for children who got lost and don't come home. Women who think they're alive and don't know they're dead. Every night they ask for stories, and I return tale for tale. In the middle of the road, I stand between rivers that won't let me go, and the circle keeps closing, and I'm caught in the wheel. The riverside people tell me of the drowned woman sunk in grasses, and her gaze tells her story, and I graft the tales into my open hands. To the thumb come stories of animals, to the index finger stories of my dead. There are so many tales of children, they swarm on my palms like ants. When my arms held the one I had, the stories all ran as a blood gift in my arms, as through the night. Now, turned to the east, I'm giving them away because I forget them. Old folks want them to be lies. Children want them to be true. All of them want to hear my own story, which in my living tongue is dead. I'm seeking someone who remembers it, leaf by leaf, thread by thread. I lend her my breath. I give her my legs, so that hearing, it may waken it in me.
look, that music was so beautiful. I think I heard the sound of someone waking up, and we need more woke people. Tell me a story. Just one more. One more, please? Don't we have more time? After our needs for food, shelter, and love are met, this is one of the very next things we crave. And not because stories are childish things. Good stories are, quite frankly, basic necessities. We could not survive or thrive without them. Part of what makes us human is the ability to share our stories, and through them, we make sense of the world. Stories are powerful. They can bring us to tears or laughter. They can awaken us or put us to sleep. They can lead us to fear or love. They can place us with the forces of empire or cast us as rebels on the road to redemption. Stories inform us about our identity as human beings and about our place in the family of beings. They impart our cultural and spiritual inheritance as members of a particular country, religion, and family, or mixtures thereof. They announce who we are, where we have come from, where we are headed. A story can offer a lifeline in a time of great suffering. A story can entertain. A story can awaken the minds and hearts of those who live in relative comfort and ease to the plight of the impoverished. A story can build understanding between two people whose countries are at war. A story can live on centuries or even a millennia beyond the one who first shared it. Yes, stories and storytellers, that is to say, all of you, are powerful. Stories have the power to alter our history, our present, and our future. In fact, I dare say that is the whole point. How we tell them matters very much. Communicating what and who matters to us, as well as what and who doesn't. What values we cherish, as well as those we don't. And what we think is worthy of remembering or what we'd rather forget. Fortunately, we human beings are storytellers by nature. As long as our kind has roamed this earth, there have been good stories. It was through the oral tradition, that is, the sharing of folk tales, legends, myths, religious stories, hunting stories, and so forth, that people passed on the wisdom of their generations. Before the advent of writing, oral stories were the medium for individuals to journey into adulthood and for people to pass on collective wisdom and to advance understanding. Many of these stories passed all around the world and were changed in each new culture, fitting their context and circumstances. An interesting thing happened when humans became literate and began to write things down. We created the ability to preserve stories for generations to come and made it possible for a person like me in Portland in 2025 to learn the wisdom tales of 17th century Japan in the Common Era, or the 18th century before the Common Era in Babylon. However, we also wound up rewiring our brains. And once a people becomes literate, research has shown that we lose the skills of some of the great storytellers of old to remember the lengthy epics that might guide us on our path. It's remarkable to think that one of the most well-known stories, the Odyssey, was part of the oral tradition because so many of us receive it in writing today. That epic poem is 140,000 words long, more words than I would share with you in a sermon if I preached every single Sunday in a year and went too long half of the time. The practice of telling stories by the fire or a nightlight taps into this ancient practice. As parents and grandparents, aunties and uncles and babysitters weave tales that offer our children insights about life. A story about children who escape a wicked witch in the middle of the forest, teach them that although the world may seem scary, although there are people with greater physical or material power, they have the courage and ingenuity to find ways to escape danger and thrive. Today, many parents want to sanitize those fairy tales. However, I want you to know that a child's imagination is far grimmer than any of Grimm's fairy tales. Stories can help both children and adults imagine a future beyond the ominous present. Eve Bunting is a modern children's writer who is not afraid to tackle difficult issues, including the challenges of racism, the experiences of refugees, poverty, and homelessness. She identifies as a Shanaki, the word for the storytellers of old in Ireland, who went from home to home telling tales of ghosts and fairies, battles and heroes. In one of her books, Fly Away Home, she writes about a homeless father and son who live in an airport and how it is that they manage to survive. Some adults might be reticent to share a story about homelessness with a young child, but here you and I are, in the very state with the second highest rates of unsheltered people and the highest rates of homeless families in the country. I know that many people worry about their security, especially with rising food costs. This is our collective story. Bunting's tale about a homeless boy who is able to express his anger and frustration and also able to find hope is an important reflection of the fear that many of us might face at one time or another and the coping skills we might need. The boy uses storytelling as a vehicle for hope. He witnesses the freedom flight of a small bird that was once stuck in the airport, and this becomes his narrative, and it brings him the strength to believe that he too will fly away home one day. Whether rich or middle class or poor, deeply religious, spiritual or secular, young, mature or elderly, American, African or Australian, each of us can avail ourselves of the power of a good story to entertain, teach, pass on heritage, to share something of what it means to be human, and even possibly to open us up to transformation. Stories have the power to shift something in our minds and hearts and to disrupt a narrative that we may have carried our whole life long. And when they do that, we do remember them and take them to heart. Kendall Haven shares from his research that humans favor stories that follow the following pattern, and let's see if you recognize it. 1, a character that we have become interested in has a goal which is supported by a clear, understandable motive. 2, the character hasn't reached the goal yet. There are obstacles in the way that carry risk and consequences of failure. 3, the character must struggle to meet that goal. And along the way, the character encounters other characters who become allies, as well as needed resources which help them on their path. And 4, once the obstacles are overcome and the goal is reached, a new understanding, a new normal gets established, which remains constant until an incident prompts a new goal. You'll find this formula in religious narratives, in books, movies, television, video games, Dungeons and Dragons quests, plays, and more. We relate to the protagonists or their allies or both. We see ourselves in the story. Another reason that diverse representations are so important. I think it's important to note that the most meaningful stories are not just about us, though. They describe a path where we have need of others and have a need to procure resources that we don't possess on our own or alone. Even Jesus has need of the apostles to spread his good news during his lifetime and after he is gone. There is no Jesus without followers, like the thousands that are gathered on the hill as he demonstrates how just a few loaves and a few fishes could feed thousands. His sharing of food with them and faith in them ignites generosity in their own hearts, which helps them to overcome their own fears and insecurities of whether they have enough. And the next thing you know, food is coming out of hiding places, their pockets and their baskets, and sure enough, at the end of the story, there is even food to spare. The obstacles in the story are important. They grab our attention and make that story memorable. I remember in a Hebrew Bible class at Harvard, Professor John Levinson asked the following: "Why do you think God hardens Pharaoh's heart repeatedly?" People came up with the most creative possibilities as to why this would be the case. But he looked at all of us and he said, yeah, all of that. But quite simply, it wouldn't be a good story if Moses asked Pharaoh to let his people go and Pharaoh said, okay. Finally, if the story doesn't lead to change, it isn't satisfying. It seems pointless, futile. When we reflect on the story of our country overthrowing King George and the American experiment with democracy, it cannot end with another king coming into power. That's just not how we understand our national story and identity, and it is so ingrained in us that we can recall the entire story with 2 words. Will you say with me, no kings? In some sense, our president's longing for a crown and all that comes with it is an incident that prompts a new goal. Yes, I know that there have been many incidents before this that would have us question what path we are on and whether we are in the role of the protagonist supporting democracy or the antagonists holding us back from a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. However, we may have finally reached a tipping point. I'm reminded of one of the differences, one of the shifts in the storytelling of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. In our 5th principle that was written in the 1980s, and in our 6 UU shared values written in the 2020s, there is a notable shift. At first, the word democracy stands alone. But now, under the value of justice, democracy has other words added to it, most importantly, inclusive democracy. Today, we know that democracy can be co-opted and corrupted. We are struggling for more inclusive democratic processes than our founders may have ever imagined. We're changing our story about our founders. It isn't just monarchy we are fighting against, it is plutocracy and oligarchy, and the latter feels particularly important on this weekend when we learned that Elon Musk is about to be a trillionaire. We are back on the road, struggling for our freedom, and this time with a keen awareness that we seek collective liberation and not merely individual freedom. When we are enthralled to a story that doesn't fit what is happening around us, we may find ourselves stuck in the past, unable to grow in the present. As to the question of whether mythos, story, or logos, reason, comes first, the answer, friends, in church but in everywhere, is mythos comes first. People who are stuck in a story that ours is the greatest democracy that is possible will not be persuaded by reason. Remember that at Thanksgiving. The ability of our wishes to be king, president, to tell a story and help others to see themselves inside of it is how he has risen to power. He has expertly deployed classic storytelling techniques such as villain-victim hero plots, and too often we have countered this with reason and facts. We talk about an economic crisis in our country, but I also want to focus our attention on a spiritual crisis that involves false prophets using manipulative and malicious storytelling that creates an us versus them narrative and casts the vulnerable as wicked. This is not a God-given story. This is a greed-given story. In this month of exploring the tales we weave and are weaving us into what is next, I invite you to reflect on the meta-narratives that are forming and guiding you, your life, our community, our country, and our global reality. Each of us experiences the arc of our lives from birth to death as having a larger message or a meta-narrative or larger story. The story we tell ourselves about the sum total meaning of our days has everything to do with how we encounter new obstacles or even new opportunities on our path. Here is one overarching story that we have been countering here in Portland, and it is the story of violence can only be overcome by greater violence. It is the source of war and conflict and devastating loss of life. Trump is so effective in his storytelling that some people believed, and some may still believe, that there is a war going on in Portland on the streets. I can't tell you how often my family has had to counter that narrative with others who live farther away, family members in Oklahoma and Florida, that indeed it is peacetime in Portland. But what is that? Just a mere reasonable fact. The challenge is how to counter the increasing numbers of ICE who have been given carte blanche to target anyone who, quote, looks like an immigrant, There's a whole sermon and story there. And how to counter the National Guard without being seen as violent or playing into Trump's story and meta-narrative. Well, we have our own brilliant storytellers here, and one named Jack played a chicken who helped us get to the other side of the road. You may have seen him, a grown-up man dressed in a chicken onesie with an American flag cape with hearts where you would normally see stars. He showed up as a non-violent witness, and soon others showed up, one person notably as an inflatable frog, ready to face military threats with humor. The fact is that this is a great way to counter being in a surveillance state by covering up your body and face. But the story is that chickens and frogs are the opposite of violent. And now the longer that troops would stay here, and we have the judge on our side working to make sure that doesn't happen, the sillier and more unreliable our president seems. Now, animals are multiplying over the city, over the country in biblical proportions, and our president has been visited by a plague. A good story shifts the narrative, what's possible and what's becoming. So what is the story that you are telling about yourself, about us, and about the world around you? Does it bring you hope and strength? Does it bring you the ability to offer compassion in difficult times? Does it cause you to shrink in fear? Your story can be a powerful spiritual tool that will help you find meaning amidst suffering and amidst joy. It can even be a matter of life and death. The truth is that all of us, like the homeless boy in the airport, experience suffering at one time or another. The question is whether or not suffering will become the entirety of who we are and are becoming, or whether there is room for something more. Here's one thing I saw the other day. When we clergy were invited to go to the ICE facility to bless the animals. There were only a couple of animals because you might remember that it was freezing outside on Monday and pouring like we were in New Jersey. But Jack, the freedom chicken, was there, and he told us that he was headed to Washington to speak to whoever would listen. We surrounded him and blessed him on his journey of beckoning to all of us, do whatever is within your power to bring more joy, more love, more peace, and power to many. What I noticed was his humility, his good humor, his gratitude for our presence, and a tear in his eye during the blessing. What I noticed was his humanity. And it reinforced a meta-narrative that I hold. Ordinary people are capable of extraordinary things. Lots of ordinary people working collectively with other ordinary people can lead to truly magnificent and extraordinary turning points. That is when we are weaving our life stories on a loom of love. So, tell me a story, the one that holds you in these times. Tell me an entertaining one, a funny one, an inspirational one to help all of us cope through difficult trials and to celebrate blissful moments. Yes, go tell a story. One more. We have time. Just one more? And now in our going, may the light of love bless us and keep us. May it shine down upon us. May it be gracious unto us. May it make all of us great counter storytellers to the narrative of us versus them. May we share our universalist vision where all are included in a spirit of love that never quits. For this is the day that you and I are given. So let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.